I'll add some CAG stacks here so players can climb. That should be fun. What? I wouldn't have tried to climb if I knew that would happen. How much damage from the fall? No way that I'm trying that. So if I fail, I'll be prone. 1, 2, 3. How much movement would the climb cost? Will I have enough left to get up? Oh wait, I didn't know it worked like that. I think I'll do something else. Where should I move to? Anyone needs help? Oops, I failed. Let me see. What should I do with my action then? Physical challenges involving ability checks can become more complex than we expect. They can break the adventure pace, especially in combat. Take this old winery as an example. Stacks of empty kegs form corridors with just enough space for one creature to fight. Characters may want to climb the 12-foot high piles to gain high ground for ranged attacks or avoid flanking from enemies. What athletics check mechanics should we design for that? I'd go with a DC 10 athletics check. On a success, the character uses a bonus action to climb. On a failure, the character can still climb, but at the cost of one action. Our mechanics design boils down to our goals when we place a feature or players creatively think of one that calls for an ability check in combat. I want my combats to be fast-paced and feel like action movie scenes. I want to encourage players to interact with the environment, but I want them to do that with simple decision-making and quick thinking so we don't lose our pace. That's why any ability check mechanics in combat should have a low cost, be clear, and be simple. Rules as written give freedom to many design options around this winery example. The rule books state that the DM determines the consequence of ability checks, including what the setback is. While at some point, rule says that a DM calls for an ability check when a character attempts an action, they also say that at the DM's option, a particular type of movement may require an ability check. The 3 combat encounter goals we've just set help us design this ability check. 1. Clear mechanics. If players ask whether their characters can climb the keg piles, we'll disclose the check DC and consequences for failure and success before they make the test. We don't need to say the exact DC, but characters should know if it's an easy, medium, or hard task. That prevents frustration with failure or unforeseen outcomes and allows players to make decisions before taking turns. 2. Simple mechanics. Complex calculations or branched decisions slow combat pace. If characters fall prone on a failure, that adds complexity. Players will calculate if they will have enough movement left to stand up. And if a failure means the character is unable to climb, we create a branched decision. Players will have to think about what to do with their action if they manage to climb, and what if they don't. 3. Low-cost mechanics. If the cost of a failure is too high, players won't try. And we want them to use this winery feature. It's a way out of its challenging, tight corridors. Taking damage on a fall could be too high a price to pay for a failure, discouraging its use, especially for low-level characters. The failure option that checks all boxes for me is climbing but losing the remaining action for the turn. If players fail, their turn is over with no further delay, and the cost is low enough for them to try. They'd simply have to wait for the following round to take their originally planned action. So, if you want your combats to feel like action movie scenes, don't let ability checks slow them down. Make ability checks clear, simple, and low cost.